I'm going to talk about an article that I read today in the Bulwark by one of their columnists, a guy named Adrien Keriskeo, that left me feeling encouraged. You know, in the current state of things, it left me feeling encouraged. Anyone who's followed me for any period of time knows that I'm a fan of the Bulwark's page. I'm a subscriber at like the founders level or something. They have expanded greatly over the last year. I think their YouTube page is up to 1.4 million followers. I think I heard Sarah Longwell say recently that they have over 100,000 paid subscribers to their page, of which I am one, proudly. And they've hired some really, really great people recently, including Adrien Keriskeo. Some of the other columnists that they've hired, they hired a young woman named Laura Egan. Her stuff is great. They've got Jonathan Cohn on board, who's focusing on healthcare policy. His articles are always incredibly informative about what's going on with healthcare policy these days. Their congressional reporter, Joe Perticone, I love his stuff as well. Always very in-depth and very well-informed. And of course, my old buddy, Will Sommer, who I got to do a live with on TikTok a couple weeks ago, who, you know, immerses himself in the world of right-wing conspiracy theories going back several years. So this article today, August 20th, from Adrien Keriskeo, is titled "Churches Are Fighting Back Against ICE." There's a network of 5,000 churches launching a rapid response action plan to protect worshipers during ICE raids. The article starts out as follows. I hear it all the time. What Donald Trump is doing goes against Christian teachings, the Bible, what people of faith are taught, and yet they still back him. The Bulwark has learned exclusively there's a network of 5,000 faith communities that is now distributing a blueprint for clergy and lay leaders who want to push back against what Trump and the agents of his newly emboldened ICE are doing to immigrants across the country. There's a link to that blueprint in the article that takes you to a website called votecommongood.com, and their page that's titled "How to Protect People During ICE Raids." It's a rapid response action plan for faith communities. And it just says, our faith calls us to act. Faith traditions call us to welcome the stranger, protect the vulnerable, and love our neighbors. And it includes things like a sample covenant statement for your church. There's a tab about know your rights, what everyone should know. There's a section for documents that you can print and share. And it's like, you know, there are sections in here called Bear Public Moral Witness, set up a faith-based alert network, public witness and media coordination, form a rapid response team, make your church a public sanctuary space, legal observer and de-escalation training, and on and on. It's a great page. It's at votecommongood.com. And everyone should go subscribe to the Bulwark as well. The article continues, the rapid response action plan for churches and faith communities to protect people during ICE raids is the brainchild of evangelical pastor Doug Padgett, P-A-G-I-T-T, and his group Vote Common Good, which is not only providing these resources to faith communities in his network, but they also sent an open letter to the White House Faith Office calling for justice and compassion for immigrants and slamming plans to open more detention centers like Florida's Alligator, Alcatraz, and facilities like that. Thousands of faith leaders and congregations co-signed that letter to the White House. Reading from the action plan. Faith traditions call us to welcome the stranger, protect the vulnerable, and love our neighbors. In the face of renewed ICE enforcement actions and immigration raids, we must be ready to act swiftly, courageously, and in solidarity. One example of what's in the Rapid Response Plan, guidance on how faith leaders can designate their churches as public sanctuary spaces at a time when Trump has railed against sanctuary cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, but has not criticized churches that provide sanctuary to immigrants. In a recent interview, Pastor Padgett said that since Trump was first election, Padgett has tried to encourage people to consider their moral and religious values when voting, like their actual moral and religious values, like, the words and teachings of Jesus. Even if that meant considering supporting a candidate or a party they had previously written off. Quoting, "Immigration has been a real central point for us over the last 8 years," he said, calling it one of the places religious voters differ with the rest of the MAGA movement profoundly. His audience is the faith-motivated voter, especially white evangelicals and white Catholics who are repulsed by Donald Trump. Normal people who have a conscience. Quote, "The thing we heard over and over from congregants interested in politics is that they disagreed with Republicans' emerging stance and Donald Trump's opinion about immigrants," he said, noting that it is common for evangelicals especially to have missionary connections to countries in Central America or Africa. He said that many of these parishioners also objected to Trump's family separations and kids in cages during his first term. Again, like normal people who have a conscience. Still, Trump won last November in large part thanks to evangelical voters who largely remain MAGA stalwarts. And while many evangelicals share Trump's general anti-immigrant animus in direct opposition to the actual teachings of Jesus Christ and his actual words, what's driving some evangelicals and other religious voters away from Trump, Padgett said, is the president's overreach and his administration's harshness toward productive, quiet, and often church-going immigrants instead of the criminals he said he would prioritize. Where are ICE raids now? They are at places of employment. Car washes, Home Depot, Lowe's, restaurants, food carts, landscapers, food delivery drivers. That's who they're arresting now. The new action plan for faith communities is informed by Pastor Padgett's own experience, as well as the realities of communicating in 2025. In 2018, when he was still working as a pastor in his native Minneapolis, he designated his church a sanctuary space for immigrants and housed at least one person there for more than a year. To do so, he called on help from organizations that know the ins and outs of that work. Most people don't know what to do. For church groups, it's complicated and they get super nervous. Beyond forming a rapid response team of dedicated volunteers to monitor reports of raids, verify them, show up to raids as moral witnesses, and coordinate shelter, transportation, and legal aid for vulnerable immigrants, Pastor Padgett realized Vote Common Good would need also a robust mass alert system because of ICE's new aggressive tactics, showing up unexpectedly at places that were previously off limits, like schools, hospitals, churches. That's where WhatsApp comes in. A favorite of immigrant communities, including those from Latin America, the app allows information to travel freely and instantaneously. Padgett is calling on churches to set up their own WhatsApp alert networks, allowing each community to decide who needs to be notified and when. The goal is that when ICE conducts a raid, houses of worship can answer their congregants' questions about their rights, where to go, where to drop off their kids. We're all out here trying to put a trampoline together without instructions. We just see springs and poles, but we're trying to help people see what they can do to make a difference. And the article goes on from there. You can go find that article at thebulwark.com. I strongly urge everyone to subscribe to the Bulwark. I can't keep up with the amount of amazing content they put out every day. I think I said that to Tim Miller when he and I were on a live a few weeks ago. These guys work hard. I disagree with them on a lot of things frequently, but I always learn something regardless of who I'm reading at the Bulwark. And you get your daily newsletters from people like JVL and the daily podcast from Tim Miller. It's a great website. Everyone should go sign up to it. And that article made me feel encouraged, and that has been lacking in my life recently. So go check out that article from Adrien Keriskeo at the Bulwark.